By way of interest, in 1837, Queen Victoria became the first sovereign to move into Buckingham Palace. It was a large townhouse, so they said at the time, built by the Duke of Buckingham in 1703 for his wife. I think it's something of an understatement, a large townhouse. It's got 775 rooms. The garden's the largest private garden in London. There you are. And for all your cricket nuts, in 2004, on this day, Shane Warne equalled Matthias Muralitharan's world record for Test wickets when he took 5 for 27 against Sri Lanka in Cairns. By the time he retired, he'd taken 708 Test wickets, still the record. And 4 years ago on this day, the British Prime Minister David Cameron resigned following the UK vote to leave the European Union, hence Brexit. But let's get into it. Are you with me when I say I've had a gutful of this alarmist talk about coronavirus? I'm sick and tired of hearing about the number of cases. Why do politicians, the lot of them, thrive on this alarmism? We're told today that there are these cases in Melbourne from an unknown source. Gladys Berejiklian says, we're just hanging on. What the hell do you mean, Gladys? In Western Sydney, we've got disease detectives on the job. And some poor coot in the Jindabyne Hotel up in ski country has been shut down for 72 hours. He breached the public health order. You could give 3 free trips around the world, not that they'd be worth anything at the moment, to anyone who could tell you what the latest health orders are. These are politicians with power. They're just making up numbers. You can have 10 in a restaurant yesterday and 50 tomorrow. And in Melbourne, no visitors to a private home, no leisure travel, 10 at a funeral, 5 at a wedding, and shut down everything that moves. That is, if you don't tax it first. This is absolute madness. This is the George Orwell tactic. Orwell died at 46, ahead of his time in 1950. But shouldn't we be warned by what he said? No one ever seizes power with the intention of relinquishing it. Do these politicians want us frightened so they can stay in charge? Why are we constantly told the number of cases, but never the number who are critical? Since March, there have been 24 deaths in Victoria. 24. There are 440 deaths in Australia every day. With Melbourne people, as I said last week, locked up like battery hens, why are we not told that the World Health Organization says 99% of cases around the world are mild and 99.85% of all cases will recover? Why doesn't Professor Peter Doherty, the Nobel Prize winner, get a Guernsey when he says about the reproductive rate of the virus, and I quote, it does seem to be about 2.5. That means each infected person could be expected to transmit the disease to 2.5 others, which makes it, he said, about as infectious as a bad flu, but infinitely less infectious than measles. Why aren't the public told this? The number of cases bears little relationship to those at risk. If you go to the Australian Government Department of Health website, it gives you an update. Have a look at this. In Australia, as of yesterday, 50 Australians are in hospital, 17 in intensive care. None in the ACT, 6 in New South Wales in hospital, 1 in intensive care. Northern Territory, 2 in hospital. Queensland, 1 in hospital. South Australia, none. Tasmania, none. WA, none. Victoria, 41 in hospital and 16 in intensive care. If this is a pandemic, words have lost their meaning. Why isn't the Australian public being told by political leaders who lecture us at every turn and thrive on this alarmist talk that the likelihood of death from infection has plummeted? Is it because not dying is bad for the headlines? We are entitled to the whole truth from political leaders, not 1 or 2 extracts.